Right.
Well, we are farmers from the Dar Straits, Egypt section where our land was bulldozed some months ago. And what happened? We was unable to reap the rest of crop that remained in the land. We was unable to reap any crop. And what the government did, where both the Ministry of Agriculture and the Housing Ministry, what the government did was that they paid for what land was bulldozed, and they did not pay for the other crops that we were unable to reap. And because of that, that is what have we here today. None of us was compensated for the crop that remained in the land, which up till this hour the crop still there. At that point in time, it had security, Muslim security and police, who was preventing us from going on the land, which the ministry knew. And up till this hour, we hadn't been compensated for what crops remain in the land. Though we come to understand that the Minister of Agriculture gives directives to the Housing Ministry so that we were supposed to be paid. So exactly where the situation lies, we personally unable to say exactly where the real problem is, where finances is concerned.
In terms of tenure on the land, what's the situation with you?
Well, we haven't been told anything since, but as of we actually hoping that we could have some meeting with the ministers involved so that we could come to a proper understanding of what's going on, because up till now we hadn't been told anything concerning tenure of the land.
And how long have some of you all been farming on that land?
We have been farming on the land, most of us here have been farming on the land for over 30 years.
But in law, doesn't that give you some rights?
It does give us a certain measure of rights to where the land is concerned. But the fact that we wanted to commit a compromise with the government, since they wanted to relocate us. So we didn't make any massive issue out of it. So that is where the whole situation lies.
And keep the promises.
So as it is now, what is the state of negotiations? With whom are you all meeting? Who is negotiating? Well, I know we don't do food crop farmers. What is the state of the negotiations?
Well, actually, where the negotiations, when we had the meetings with the ministers and so on, they did come up with certain criteria concerning our situation. But we're hoping to have a new set of talk with the ministers involved so that the whole situation could be settled. Because there are a lot of little issues surrounding our situation, where compensation and so on is concerned.
Things like trauma, we get trauma compensation, we say get compensation for the land, because the children and them farmers and them can't send the children to school. And it's so long, Mr. Barak said by 2 weeks time we will get the land. We instead of getting land, the farmers and them is home. So right now we're waiting for the farmers to get back on the land and give us our compensation, let us start to go back and do agriculture, because agriculture is food. This is what keeping me alive. We have nothing else to look at. Mr. Mulilal belly is full.
And food is what feed a nation.
It's the building block of the nation.
We need to plant the land, we need the land.
All right. Well,
and all we hear is a lot of promises, and I know what promises is comfort to our fool, and we are no fool. We understand what's happening.
Okay, anybody else? Anybody else want to say anything? Anybody else want to say anything? Anybody else want to say anything?
Say something, come now, say something, come first now.
Well, some of the farmers get money and we get money. You want to know where the rest of money goes?
How you mean some of the farmers get and some don't get?
Yeah, that is the issue.
Actually, the farmers who got money is farmers whose land was bulldozed. But a lot of other crops remain on the land, and they prevent us from, the tax security preventing us from going on the land.
Oh, getting it clear now. Not all the crops were bulldozed, but those that will remain, you were not allowed to.
We were unable to go to reap the crop, what remained.
But what might be the reason for that? I mean, the crop is there. What might be the reason for not allowing you to reap that?
Well, that is it. We cannot say exactly, but it did happen. Right. What we do come to know also was that the minister, the agricultural minister, did give directive for us to be paid for the crop that remain on the land. But up till this hour, nothing had been happening, nothing. But we know for sure that the agricultural minister did give directive for we to be paid because a compensation package was made up from people from the Ministry of Agriculture. And when the few farmers who got paid for the crop that was bulldozed, the other farmers hadn't got any money for the crop that remained in the land.